Good morning and welcome to the fifth quarter AZ. My name is Danny Neal and I will be your co-host for today. And my co-host for today is a very special lady who I'm just happy to be able to share the show with today. She's a 2023 Flagstaff Sports Foundation Hall of Fame inductee and someone who has done a plethora of things as far as sports goes and stuff like that. My friend Katie Schneider. How are you, Katie?
Hey, I'm good. Good morning. I'm happy to be back here. I'm happy to be with you. I get to
I
see you again.
know, I know. This is fun. I mean, it's crazy because I hadn't this time probably last year. I was probably just getting to know you, contacting you about being inducted into the Sports Hall of Fame, and just clicked. And that's why we were so happy to have you be one of the co-hosts on the show because you fit in just perfectly. When Coach Johnson is not here, you got the same attitude. You don't treat me as bad as he does.
I
But
know. Give me a few more shows. I'm being nice to you for a couple shows, and then it's going to be the same.
I know it is. So, hey, it is so awesome. So, what have you been up to?
It's the end of all of the fall sports. For
Mm,
kids, soccer's ending, swimming's ending, cross country's ending. So we're doing all that. Which, by the way, I want to give a huge shout out to Northern Arizona cross
yes,
country championships. I
yes,
mean, man, I think they're what 6-time champions at this point. Like,
right.
you go NAU. Huge kudos. I've just been following from afar and big fans. Flagstaff, you guys have got some big rivalry games going on that I get to follow from afar.
That's right. That's right. Tonight is rivalry night with Flag High and Coconino football in the dome, and it's so much nicer in the dome.
Yeah.
I was sitting in the dome one time watching football, and they're like, "This isn't football. It needs to be out there in the snow." And I'm like, "No, no. This
No.
is the way I like it, just like this." So it's great. But just talking about that, let's catch up on what's been going on around the city a little bit. Once again, we got that rivalry game with Coconino and Flag High tonight. And Coconino comes in with Coach Gary Cook with an overall record of 6-5, conference record of 5-3, and a region record of 3-1. They're ranked number 13. So as of right now, they will be going to the state playoffs. And being ranked number 13, they may have the opportunity to move up just because Canyon Del Oro, who's ranked number 4, will go into the open division. Mika Mountain, who I never heard of as a high school before, um, is ranked number 15, and they will looking to go into the open. And Arcadia is number 16, and they're looking to go into the open. So Coconino has the opportunity possibly to move up 3 spots just in the 4A conference. But they have to take care of business at hand tonight. And with these rivalry games, all records are thrown out the window. All records
Absolutely.
are thrown out the window. And Mickey Clemens and Flagstaff High School, who have a overall record of 2-7 and a conference record of 2-5, region 0-4. And so I will like to say that Mickey Clemens, his first year, has really came on and done a great job with those Eagles. And the record might not show it, but the attitude shows it. And just the want to shows it. So kudos to them tonight. You can set the record straight.
Yeah. So coach, who do you cheer for? Do you say that out loud or do you have to remain neutral?
Well, you know what? I'm Flag High. I'm not going to mess around. I'm Flag High all the way in this game. But when this game is over with, I'm all Coconino in the state
Yep.
playoffs.
Yep.
I bleed green.
Yep.
I bleed green, but I go follow Coconino when playing. I know a lot of the players, things like that. So I always wish them the best. It's just when this rivalry game comes, I got to go with my school.
You do.
I have to go with my school, and I think they understand that. But come November 9th, which is next Thursday, and the start of the playoffs, hey, I'm Coconino all the way.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
Coconino all the way. So, and then Coconino volleyball ended their season last week with a rivalry game against Flagg High School. It was a tough year, but we had Coach Scott Dendy and some of his players on the show a couple weeks ago. And even with the tough season, the girls that are coming back are so enthusiastic about getting in there this summer, putting in the work, and turning this whole thing around. So I'm just really excited and was impressed with how they weren't hanging their heads. You know, they were just, no, we're going to get this done. You know, we believe in our coach, we believe in our teammates, we believe in the system, and we're going to get it done. So that says a lot about the character of the volleyball team at Coconino High School. And then Flagg High School with Beth Haglund. She always has a great program going on. And overall, they were 15-3, conference 15-3, region 11-1. They're ranked number 8. And last night, they lost to Arcadia in 4 sets, who was ranked number 9. So it was 8-9. It was Flagg High was at home, and the game went to 4 sets. So you know, they competed, they played. You know, you get to these state playoffs, and now Arcadia has to go down Monday night and play number 1 ranked ALA, American Leadership Academy, Gilbert North. So they've got a tough task at hand, but kudos to Flagg High for once again making it to the state playoffs and representing really well. And then we can't forget about Northland Prep's boys soccer team fall. Overall, they were 8-3-1, conference 8-3-1. Eric Carrillo had his team ranked number 10. In the playoffs on the 24th, they lost to Chino Valley 3-2 in overtime. So that's a tough way to go out, but they went out fighting to the end. So Coach Carrillo, hey, props, man. And just keep doing what you guys are doing. And great. And as you said, winter sports is picking up. We just finished tryouts for basketball this past week. Well, still we got today. We'll be making cuts today. I know Coconino's probably had a great turnout. We at Flagg High School, we had 78 girls come out for our tryouts. I think we had on the freshman level 33 girls, something like that. Varsity level, we had another 28, 29 girls. And on the JV level, I guess nobody wants to play with me. We only had like 15, 16 girls.
Oh, but I love that. I mean, you hear that, you know, at the early middle school, high school levels, girls are kind of starting to drop out of some sports. You hear those numbers going down, but it doesn't sound like that's happening as much in Flagstaff. I love those. I love hearing that.
Right. I think it's a big jump because you play youth basketball, and with the city of Flagstaff, you play with Kiki Locke's great Unlock Potential League. Then they play in middle school, but then there's a huge jump from high school, from middle school to high school. And so it's a shock. It's a shock to some of them and their parents.
Yeah.
You know, and when you look at somebody like Coach Johnson who's chasing that second state championship, you're coming into a team that's got a bullet on their back.
Yeah.
Whether it's freshman, JV, or varsity, everybody wants to be the state champions, and so that culture still persists, and we're going to keep moving. So, I just think there's so many great kids in Flagstaff pushing and working hard that it's great. And I think our guest today is one of those who set the bar high. Someone you know personally. So I am going to give you the honor to introduce. Like I was just telling you earlier, I remember you when you was in high school, so I can say this young man, today's guest. You got it, Kate.
Oh, Danny Filleman. I mean, who in Flagstaff that grew up in the 90s with us doesn't know Danny Filleman? I count him as a true friend, such a good friend of mine. His wife, Caitlin Hurley, now Filleman, is one of my best friends. Danny grew up in Flagstaff. He went to some schools that are no longer open anymore, but Christensen Elementary, East Flag Junior High, and then Sinagua High School. He played football, hockey, baseball, and ran track at Sinagua. He then went to NAU and graduated after playing ice hockey and football for the Lumberjacks. He earned his teaching degree in vocational education, and he's been teaching and coaching for 27 years. He started his teaching and coaching career at Ironwood High School down in Glendale. And then, if you've heard of Liberty High School, Danny was their first head football coach. He took them, the only coach in school history that led the Liberty Lions to the first state title. They never had a losing record on his time. And then he got the amazing opportunity to move up to Denver and be the head football coach at Regis Jesuit High School in Aurora, Colorado, which is, I believe, 5A. He can confirm on that. Super competitive, tough area. And he's just doing phenomenal. We enjoy following him. I mentioned he's married to Caitlin Filleman, used to be Hurley. They've been married for 24 years. They have 3 boys. His mother-in-law, most of you will remember Beverly Hurley. She was a teacher, principal, administrator, just family extraordinaire. He still has family in Flagstaff, brothers, sisters, parents still living in Flagstaff. So I mean, Danny is he's one of those guys that I think everybody will say, love that guy. So I'm happy to bring him out and welcome Danny to the show.
Yeah,
Hey,
hello,
thanks,
Danny.
Katie. Hey, what's
All
going
right.
on?
All right. And we got to call you coach, because she kept talking about all these great things about Danny. I was getting full of myself, oh, that's right. She's not talking about me.
No, I paid Katie pretty well to say all those things. So,
Big money.
She takes good donations, so way too kind.
Well, welcome home, man. Welcome
Yeah,
home.
it's awesome. It's fun to hear about, Flagtown and all the good things going on there, and just the different sports and different things going on. It's fun to see, but my heart is broken, when Sinagua is not even in the mix anymore. So, I think it's probably the right thing to do overall. But Katie and I are Sinagua alums, and I thought we had that school going pretty good at that time. But it is what it is. And then you mentioned Micah Mountain. Here's a fun fact about Micah Mountain. Sinagua alum is the athletic director down at Micah Mountain, Jay Campos.
Oh, so, really?
Yeah.
I remember Jay's dad was the football coach.
He was our football coach, and he's the athletic director down at Micah Mountain. So, you got all sorts of Flagstaff connections everywhere.
That are doing very well. Well, that's good. So I know that you and Katie have known each other for a while and went to high school and everything. How was Katie going in high school, man?
Katie in high school, so she was 2 years younger than me. And she was, I remember as a freshman, I mean, she was a stick figure, I think. But
literally,
but she could run. And she was spunky as ever, and she was one of those underclassmen that we kind of gravitated towards, and we struck up a friendship because I think we're kind of both quirky and like to have a good time, but competed too. So we were on the same track team, and we had a lot of fun. That was the biggest thing. But one thing about Kate is she worked hard, and she was a tremendous competitor. And when you're watching her, like, I think she was doing triple jump and sprints, and you're like, how does this little stick figure jump that far? And we blamed it on the wind. She just got up in the air, the wind took her, because I think she maybe weighed I don't know if she was even 100 pounds, but man, she was a competitor. She worked hard. She was again, just a good friend, and someone that was just fun to be around. We had a really good time running track and just throughout high school.
Right.
It was a blast. Danny, let's talk a little bit about all of your sports that you played, because you mentioned it. You played hockey, which I don't think was super common at the time in Flagstaff. It's becoming more common now, but hockey, football, you were our quarterback at Sinagua, track and field, all of those things. Talk about kind of the management of all of your multi-sports, and then even doing 2 of those sports at NAU. Can you tell us a little bit about how you managed all that?
For us back then, it wasn't a big deal. It was like, yeah, it's football season. We're in football. We're in hockey season. Now, it's so different now, and people specialize, but I didn't think anything of it. It was just like, that was the season. That's what we were playing. And as soon as one was done, there's a transition of a couple of weeks where, from football to hockey. And we always said, hey, give me a week or 2 and I'll have my ice legs, and it was just that transition. And we never thought about it growing up. And, I remember, I was 5 or 6 years old, and one of my brother's friends, Todd Peterson of all people, was playing hockey, and we got into it, because my brother got into it. Never skated in my life. My dad never skated. And we just, went and picked it up and loved playing hockey. And that was kind of my main sport. all the way even through college, and then I had an opportunity to actually try out for the Phoenix Mustangs, which was a semi-pro team after college, and didn't make that team, and that's a whole different story. But that's that was a great experience. But again, everyone was like, it was just that season. If it was baseball season or track season, that's what we did, and we didn't think, oh, hey, I need to do this year round. That just wasn't a thought, and I think it's something that's missing today. I'm still a huge multiple sport guy where, I tell all my football players, I was like, go play another sport. You guys get away from the game. And, and for parents out there, I just had a parent meeting the other night about playing other sports. And before you let your son specialize, go look up overuse injuries. Go do the research on, the average age of Tommy John surgery now. And, lacrosse is big up here in Colorado. It said, look how many hip and shoulder labrum surgeries are going on at a younger age because of overuse. So, like I said, just specializing just wasn't a thing when we were growing up.
Right.
I love to hear a coach say that, right? Coach Danny Neal, isn't it nice to hear a coach?
It is. And to support the other programs. That's so important because it's a whole high school experience.
Absolutely.
And so that's great. And you were talking about getting your ice hockey legs up under you. I can't think of two sports more closely related than football and ice hockey.
Yeah, contact is contact, right? And then you have the finesse of the game on both sides. I wasn't a lineman, so I wasn't, I was a receiver, in college, and quarterback, running back. I was a skilled guy, and then hockey, I was a right winger. So, our contact was a little bit different.
Right.
But at the end of the day, the just being a contact physical sport, it was fun. It was fun growing up doing that and learning it, and a lot of transferable skills, that's for sure.
All right. Katie?
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about your Liberty coaching because you started the program there. And so I think it's one thing when you're walking into an established program, you get to take the good and you got to fix some of the bad. Can you talk to us about how you walked into a non-existent program and how you created it, and what you learned, what you would suggest to others who may have to do that?
Yeah, that was an experience, and it was good. I don't think I would ever want to do it again. It was a lot of work, but at the time I was a young coach, and I wanted to be a head football coach. So I applied and got denied, and finally, Allie Bridgewater down at Peoria District took a chance on me to be the head coach at Liberty. My first phone call, I'm not kidding you, was to Ed Campos from Sinagua High School, because he did the same thing, and that's
right.
I still call him coach today. I was like, Coach, what advice do you got for me here? What did you learn? What were things that you would have done differently? And had probably, a long conversation with Coach Campos about that, and just try to draw from others' experience that went through it before I did. And, setting traditions, how do you set traditions when nothing's been set, and what traditions to set? What are the meaningful things to set? And how do you establish it quickly? And, so we, came up with a plan, had some good coaches that I brought over with me to, get that program up and going. And, I tell you, we could write a book on and it'd be a comical book for sure about the stories we have, creating Liberty High School and just high school football in general. But we didn't have a field at the time. We, didn't have a locker room. I mean, we had kids showing up we just started with freshmen. So we had kids showing up, riding their like scooters to practice. And I'm like, oh, what are we doing here? But, we had a core group of kids that bought into the program and really bought into what we were doing. So I think that was the key, is, surrounding ourselves with really good coaches that cared and had the same vision, and, staying pretty true to our values, and just trying to instill our values into these kids. And it took off a lot faster than I ever could have imagined. I mean, that was the vision, and it was like, all right, well, let's keep this going. And even today, I follow Liberty. I check Liberty every week, and it's pretty cool to see them. They're one of the top, if not the top program in state now. And it's like, yeah, that's pretty cool to just see that what you started, keep flourishing, and still some of the same values and some things that we started back then carried on. Actually, it was last year. They came up here to Colorado to play one of our rival schools. So I let them practice on our field and got to talk to the team. And it's kind of funny because now they don't really know who I am. But so I was like, hey, that logo you guys have? Yeah, you can thank me for that, because the other logo was terrible, so we had some funny things that went on in that school. So,
and when you're starting a program like that, and you talk about the kids and how they bought in and everything, and to establish a culture that you want, it's the parents you gotta deal with. How was that?
You know what? I think we really had some good parents that bought into what we were doing. So we really, at Liberty, we had a great group of parents. We had some really good parents that got behind us with booster clubs to raise money, and just started making things nicer and more traditional in that school quickly. So honestly, it's a community sport. When I say that, it takes a community to do these things, and that community up around Liberty was just awesome. The businesses around there hopped on board fast. So fundraising and getting funds for the program to do that nice things, to paint the field, to make it more look like home, and do stuff in the locker room. Really, the community up there really made that and started growing that. Along with the kids, but then it was just the right time, right place for everything. So there was, again, just the parents in the community there. It wasn't hard to get them to buy in, and they took off and run. We had some real go-getter parents at the beginning. Actually, Bridget Bensbacher, which is ran for mayor of Peoria, was one of my first team moms. And so she was awesome, and she was a go-getter at the time. So we relied on her real heavily. And so again, it takes a community, and it's just not like it wasn't just me. It was everybody around that just bought in and bought into the vision.
Yeah. Fast forward to Regis. So now you're the head coach at Regis, 5A, right, Danny? Is that
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's intense. I mean, you see I know your records. We see how all the other schools are doing. What is, talk a little bit about the difference now being at one of the most competitive, schools, and in one of the most competitive conferences. Is it the same? Does it lose a little bit of the love that you've got what seems like more on the line from probably the parent standpoint? What do you think?
I mean, it's competitive. It's but at the end of the day, high school football is high school football. Denver is not as big of market as Phoenix. When I first started, this is kind of what Phoenix football was like when I started, like 20 something years ago. We don't have the population, so we also don't have like the mega schools here. Like we have one mega school, Cherry Creek High School, has like 3,900 students. Everyone else is a lot less than that, as opposed to like Chandler and Hamilton and Desert Vista. And I mean, all these schools that have 3,000, 3,500, pushing 4,000 students. We don't have those here. So it's a little more like smaller schools, but real competitive. We have, as far as like athletes and that go on to play, we have more athletes go on to play here than I did at Liberty. And we were a really good football team at Liberty as well. But yeah, Colorado football has gotten a lot better in the last few years. And actually since I've been here, it's been on the rise, and just the quality of athletes, guys that go on and play, guys that, I have a kid that played for me. He's the tight end for the Philadelphia Eagles when I first, got here. So we have, some high quality athletes, not just at Regis Jesuit, but in the state of Colorado that go on and you hear them like, oh, he's a Colorado kid. So I know it's not saying that they don't have that in Arizona. It's just for a smaller market, we have some really high quality athletes that come out of Colorado.
Yeah.
So why is that? I mean, obviously there's you look at Brock Purdy and all these people who come out of Arizona. Why is it that you seem to get more from these smaller schools than these bigger schools?
It's kind of weird. I don't know what it is about Colorado, but Colorado has a lot of tall people here. and
Altitude.
There's something in the water, altitude or something. I was like, then Flagstaff should have really tall people too. But the first year I was here, I was walking around the mall with Caitlin and I looked around. I was like, man, I don't know what it is, but there's the tall people here. And I'm 6 foot. And she's, by the end, we're walking around the mall. She's like, yeah, you are kind of short here. I was like, come on. But I mean, we have more like tall, like 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" kids around Colorado playing sports than we ever did at Liberty. I mean, if we had a 6'2" lineman at Liberty, we're, jumping for joy. Now I saw them last year and I'm like, all right, they got a lot bigger too. But just as it's just not here at Regis, like across the board, we have got my tight end room a couple of years ago, COVID year, matter of fact, I had a 6'7", 6'6", 6'5", and a 6'4" tight end.
Wow.
We had 4 tight ends that are like Division I type tight ends. I'm like, God, I never had that. So I don't know if there's something in the water or the snow or something here in Colorado that grows a little taller. But I'll tell you the speed in Arizona, because I think guys can run year round and train year round. The speed is better in the Phoenix area than Denver. Now we have fast guys here too, but not like we were always as team speed was a lot faster overall in Arizona.
And I wonder, because I have heard, and I know this was true during my time, is athletes oftentimes will look at schools where they can do their sport year round. So, Arizona, California, those schools in the West where, yeah, they can be outside, on the turf playing football, and baseball. They're not on the East Coast freezing. Is that, do coaches see that same thing?
I think it really depends on sports. I mean, obviously, all my boys play football and baseball. Baseball here is the same in Arizona. You got the indoor training facilities. That's the only difference. So there is year-round baseball here too. They got to travel sometimes in the winter, but really it's kind of like a club mentality, and it's everywhere you go, and it doesn't matter what sport. Some sports are a little more club oriented than others. But yeah, having year round, like in Florida and Phoenix, obviously you guys can play baseball year round there. So yeah, I think you get a little more year round guys like specializing in some of those states.
How do you see these summer leagues and stuff affecting some of the kids who are not as affluent as other people? Because when you're looking at, I have an organization, Flagstaff Hoops. Most of our kids are not from affluent families and stuff like that. And they've got a legacy park in Mesa, which is the biggest sports complex in the United States now. And to go play at these things, to play in the tournaments, you're talking $500-600 a tournament. You have to take that cost over to the kids. And that's pushing a lot of kids out from being able to get that extra work. Do you see that happening in Colorado?
Yeah, I think it's just every club sport, right? I mean, it's become probably $1 billion business at this point, youth sports, and it's crazy, what they charge, and guy, it's this love-hate thing with club sports. You love it because there's opportunities for these kids. So sometimes you hate it because I think the adults and the finances get in the way of what's really right for the kids. Right. And I think that's, damaging these youth kids. And also it's not great for parents either, because,
right.
You pay to be on a team. So, when you get to high school, you get to us, they're like, oh, wait, well, my kid was this and this and this. I was like, well,
Right.
look,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be honest with you, because you're not paying me to, tell you what you want to hear about, club sports or where you're really at. So there's some of that is tough, and also for kids that can't afford, that the club sports and that club experience. I think that gets lost in the shuffle, and high school sports becomes more important to them.
Yes.
But sometimes it's not as valued as club sports, just because the exposure and everything that they're claiming they get, with all the club activities and all the club travels and all this stuff. So.
Gosh, I love that you touched on that, because I think you said it perfectly. It's the love-hate relationship with the club sports. You don't want your kid to miss out, but you just really miss the good old days of where it wasn't so, you didn't exclude people, and you weren't, forking out your bank account to do this. And like you said, it wasn't that anyone had a full-time job coaching us back in the day. It was your PE coach, it was your math
Right.
coach, and it's really changed. And Coach Neal, I think we need more organizations like yours that help everybody. Let's have the same playing field for everyone.
Yeah, and one thing that's driving me nuts, and I guess it spills over to college football or college sports too, is just guys jumping ship for this team and this team, to chase trophies as a 10, 12, 13-year-old kid, instead of really, working for it. And you see it in college with the transfer portal now, where guys, oh, I'm not getting playing time, so I'm going over here. And then you got the NIL money, and I'm making more money over here. And, I don't know, it bugs me, because it's like, where's the loyalty? Where's, the work ethic and the commitment to a program, and commitment to, what you said, and there's some validity to the transfer portal and NIL, and I'm not disagreeing with that, but I think it's spilling over to our youth sports, and guys are like, well, that team's better, so I'm going to go that team. And I kind of question sometimes what we're teaching kids by doing all this.
And I think when you hit on the NIL, I think that's the biggest factor right now. Coaches are using this to recruit players, to pull players from everywhere. You got Deion Sanders and his group, and I love Deion and what he's doing in Colorado and everything. But I mean, it's like they're showing off. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, hey, his family had money anyway. They ain't like he wasn't going, But now Sanders, he's making $4.1 million a year. Where's the love to go play pro football now?
Right. And I was telling someone this the other day. I was like, it used to be a big thing where some college football players would not play in a bowl game because they want to get ready for the draft and not get hurt.
Right.
Now all these guys are playing and staying all the way because they're going to take a pay cut to go to the NFL.
Right.
So I mean, think about that. You're taking a pay cut to go play in the NFL. Like, where are we at with this? That's ridiculous to me. But I agree that there should be some NIL.
I agree too. I agree.
But I think it's got to be sanctioned and governed more. And same with the transfer portal. I have a hard time, because on the coach part and being in high school athletics, it's killing high school recruiting. And it's turning all the schools, unless you're a Power 5 school, you're a glorified JUCO right now, because all these, you're there for 2 years. If you do good, boom, someone's going to pay you money and you're going to go up to a P5 school. And then those kids at the Power 5 school that maybe earned it in high school, and now they're dropping down, and it's really hurting, the recruiting out in all sports, high school athletes.
Right. And you look at something like basketball, where these people are recruiting these athletes in college basketball, knowing they're only going to have them for 2 years, maybe a year.
Well, for sure.
The education is not the main factor anymore, which I have a problem with.
100%.
To get that education, that's why you got that scholarship. And I don't know, and I believe NAU lost one of their top players, basketball players last year. simply because he could go to Alabama or wherever he went. And now he's getting more for his jersey than he was going to get it in their youth.
Yeah, it's hard not to blame kids. We hear stories all the time where, this guy got offered by, a Power 5 school, $250,000 to go play for him for the next year. Like, all right, and all of us in college, if someone did that, I've been like, yeah, I'm out too. That's life-changing money, and that'll be tough to pass up, and especially for 18, 19-year-old, 20, 21-year-old kid. But then, I don't, down the road, what are we really teaching that kid?
Right.
Well,
there's good and bad.
That's why it makes people like you so much more important now.
Yeah.
The burden on you to teach them the right way.
Yep.
It's so much more important now, Katie, to teach the right way. I mean, it's hard as a parent to tell your son, you're not doing well yourself, struggling as a family. Now you're getting offered this money and say, no, son, don't take that money. Get your education.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, and it's real that these kids that on these age, this early age, making some decisions like that, and and it's, I mean, back, like if my son comes up to me and says that, I'll be like, that's going to be a tough like that's going to be a hard conversation to have.
Right.
And these kids that are 18, 19-year-old, that they're making those decisions for themselves. It's not like parents, we can tell them, hey, yeah, you should stay, get your education. But in the day, he's on his own. He's got to make that decision for himself. So, I think, all those factors, and it kind of goes back, this club mentality in youth sports where, I want this trophy, so I'm going to transfer teams, and we're teaching them way too early that it's okay to do that. And I don't think it is.
No, we teach them to get through hard things. Winning that
compete.
day is not always, compete. Yeah. Heart and hustle out there.
Yeah. And the sad part is they can transfer from porthole to, from this school to this school to this school, continue to play. And if a high school kid wants to transfer to another school, and if they find out he just had contact with the coach from that school that he's transferring to, he has to sit out a year.
And like, trust me, the high school transfer stuff, I wish people would hammer on it. It was the thing in Arizona, it's the thing up here in Colorado. And there's no good answer for it, but it's what are we teaching these kids, and what are they going to take with them, in life, about, if things aren't what you really want, you jump ship and you go somewhere else, or you keep working harder and, earn it. So, there's some tough things on that youth and has to deal with these days, and parents, I don't know, sometimes need to kind of buckle down and be like, hey, this is the right thing to do.
Yeah. Well, Coach Neal, I think we're getting to the point where you get to do your thing with the last question of the day.
I didn't know I was doing it. I usually get to ask you that.
I'll ask it. You kick us off with your nice sound effects, and then I'll ask the question. I like your sound effects.
Okay. So, Coach Danny, we do a thing at this time of the show where we ask you to impart a little motivation, give us some inspiration. And it's what we call our golden nugget question of the day. Katie.
Golden nugget question of the day. Danny, as a coach, tell us, parents, what do you want more of us to do better? And what should we do a little bit less of? So if you're thinking of all the parents on your sidelines for your kids, tell us, parents, as we're listening, and fans, aunts, uncles, whoever, what do you want to see us do more of to help kids sports? And what should we do less of?
I think more of is just be supportive of, your son and the team, what's best for the team, and understand team concept. And it's not all about you. And stop really, trying to chase trophies like we were talking about. It's, teach them how to be loyal, how to commit, how to work hard, how to be a good teammate. I think those are really good qualities that, like one thing that we really pride ourselves on here is I want to teach good young men how to be, good high character, because if you have high character, you're going to have all these things that's built into a high quality athlete. So without high character, then you're only going to go so far. You know, it's all those things, do the little things, but if you have high character, um, you're going to go really far in life. And that's the ultimate goal. And I always tell my players, like, hey, I've been doing this 27 years, but my most successful moments aren't winning games. It's when a kid comes back in 10 years and he's like, hey, Coach Filleman, hey, you know what? I'm married. I have kids. I have this job. We're doing great. To me, that's the most successful thing that sports brings to people, is just, those life skills they learn through sports. And they really embrace all the characteristics of just being a good person, right? The discipline, the hard work, integrity, all those things that go into high character people. You're just going to make you successful. And so, it's not wins and losses. Obviously I'm the most competitive person around. Okay. I don't like to let my kids win at Ticket a Ride. And you can ask my whole family, when we sit down to play cards, everyone wants to beat me. And that's the whole goal, is like, hey, don't let Danny win. Don't let Danny win. Right. But, I still want to win. And trust me, I want to, win ball games and do all that. But at the end of the day, I know we're going to win ball games if we have high character kids. So we really want that character development, that leadership that they're going to take with us, throughout our life. So I tell parents, let's concentrate on, all the right things as far as developing high character, and the rest is going to take care of itself. What I tell parents not to do, it's tough, because it goes back to club sports, where you want them to, play that and have the opportunities, but be a multiple sport athlete. I can't tell you, that's like my soapbox that I'm going to live and die on right there, is, go play other sports. Don't let them, specialize. And again, if you think, like, hey, he's the next, World Series pitcher,
Right.
great. So is Clayton Kershaw, but he was a high school center. There's stories like that. There's out of the first round draft picks in the NFL, there's 32 first round draft picks, 29 were multiple sport athletes in high school. Right. Go be a multiple sport athlete.
That's right.
Stop having this, like, hey, they need to play this year round. They need to do this year round. It's not good for them. Let them be kids. Push them to athletics, but at the end of the day, they're kids. Let them be kids. Let them go do other things. It's healthier for their bodies and their minds, and and maybe their love becomes football instead of baseball, or vice versa. Even my boys, I tell them, like, look, you guys, you might think you're really good at baseball right now, and turns out you're a better football player, or you're a better baseball player. Again, over 27 years of doing this, I could give hundreds of examples of guys that thought they would be a Division I baseball player and end up playing football, or, played football for me and then ended up being drafted by the, Nationals or the Giants. I have a couple kids in those organizations. So you just never know, and don't pigeonhole your kids too early.
Gosh, I love that. Such good advice. Yeah.
It is great advice. And Danny, it's been so nice. We've touched on some tough subjects that
it's all good
and deep, but it just shows once again how important you are.
No, I appreciate you guys having me on. It's always good to come back and represent Flagtown, So
right. And it's funny, just the way the world's revolved. You say, they're out here chasing these trophies. I don't even think they're chasing trophies anymore. They're chasing that Facebook photo.
Yeah.
So everybody can see them with their trophies on Facebook. And we tell them, if you come to play for us just to be on Facebook, you probably shouldn't come.
I agree with that. Yeah. There's no championships are won on social media.
Exactly.
Danny, I love seeing you. I always love talking to you. Such a near and dear friend of my heart. Appreciate your time. And it's cool to get back into Flagstaff, right?
Oh, for sure.
That town gave us so much. So
Oh, for sure. Well, Katie, thanks for having me on. Danny, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Tell
Thank you
Mark
for
just
being
we
here.
said hi.
I'll let him know. Man.
Yeah.
It's
All right, you
good.
guys take care. Thanks
Coach
again.
Neal, good to see you, buddy.
Hey, good to see you. Hey, it was a
Bye.
nice show. It was a nice show. And we'll do this some more. So
Absolutely.
it's great. And you say it's cool to look back in Flagstaff. It's not cool. It's cold.
It's cold, yeah. I remember it's probably windy there too, right?
Not too bad today. I think today it's supposed to be like 63, 64,
All
which
right.
is very unusual in October in Flagstaff.
Yeah, maybe
So-
Snowball will get opening soon.
Yeah, that's great. So hey, thank you guys. Appreciate you. And you know, Katie, you know the way we do it around here. I don't know what you got to do the rest of the day. But to everybody out here, you don't have to go home, but you got to leave here. We'll talk to you later. Peace.